After 9 months of distance, a millionaire husband revealed his amazing surprise. He wanted a baby. Sarah glanced around her cozy suburban kitchen, the faded light of dusk casting a warm glow over the wooden table cluttered with bills and grocery receipts. The laughter of children playing in the streets slipped through the open window, a melody that always tugged at her heart. She missed that laughter in her own home since Mark left for California 9 months ago. That absence had turned her vibrant life into a poignant struggle of sleepless nights and endless chores. In the midst of her turmoil, her 7-year-old daughter Lily blossomed like a wildflower, filling their modest home with bright colors and innocent joy. Yet Sarah's heart ached with memories of what once was, the family they dreamt of, the plans they laid out together. She poured Lily's favorite macaroni into a pot, her thoughts swirling along with it. Would Mark call tonight? Each ringing phone had become a collection of regrets and hollow conversations, slipping the anchor of their love further into uncertainty. Friends urged her to move on, but how could she? Lily was a living reminder of everything, especially on nights like this when her imagination transformed their shared stories into wishes. Suddenly, the unmistakable sound of a familiar engine broke through her thoughts, and her heart jumped, a mixture of hope and dread. He was back. Mark stepped out of the car, his tall figure illuminated by the soft glow of the streetlights. As he walked toward the door, Sarah felt the flutter of anticipation in her chest, yet she fought it. What could he possibly want after all this time? When he entered, his expression was delicate, a blend of confidence and vulnerability that made Sarah's heart race. "Sarah," he began, his voice thick with emotion, "I want to try for another baby." The words hung in the air, electrifying the space between them. At that moment, her heart swelled with conflicting emotions. Could this really be happening? The thrill of a renewed dream rushed through her veins, yet doubt settled in like an unwanted guest. The image of their troubled past crept back, those late-night arguments, the bitterness of his departure. Friends had warned her. Was it really wise to invite him back into her heart, to risk everything once more? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Tension crackled as Sarah considered her response, her heartbeat the only sound filling the room.
The weight of their past pressed heavily on her shoulders, but deep down, a flicker of hope ignited. Could love heal old wounds? Could they truly build a new life, threads of their old dreams woven with fresh hopes? As her breath caught in her throat, she faced Mark, her heart pounding with the gravity of her next words. Would she let herself believe again? Or would she cling to the independence she had worked so hard to achieve? Sarah's eyes searched his, desperate for assurance. She needed to hear his truth, to know if he had truly learned from his mistakes, and if he genuinely craved the family they once dreamed of. With their past looming like shadows in the corners of their minds, Sarah stood on the edge of possibility, the air heavy with unspoken dreams and heart-wrenching decisions. Can love mend what is broken? Or will they drift apart once again, victims of their past? The silence stretched between them, a fragile bridge made of tension and unspoken hopes. Sarah could feel the weight of Mark's gaze, his eyes searching for something in hers, a flicker of agreement, a nod of acceptance. She battled her emotions, torn between her old dreams and the lessons learned from heartbreak. Her heart thudded against her chest, each beat echoing doubt and desire. "Mark," she finally whispered, her voice barely above a breath. "Why now? Why after all this time?" It felt like the right question, the one that could bring clarity amidst the chaos. He stepped closer, reducing the distance they had kept for so long. "Because I realized what I lost," he confessed, his voice thick with emotion. "I spent too much time chasing success and forgot what truly matters. I want to build our family, not just with Lily, but with another child, together." His sincerity struck a chord deep within her. Memories flooded back, the joy of their early days, the excitement of discovering Lily was on her way. But that spark felt far removed from the reality of the last few months spent questioning if they were ever truly on the same page, if they even knew each other anymore. "I want that too," she finally admitted, her words trembling. But I can't forget the hurt, Mark. It's messy. You leaving, it changed everything. He took a deep breath, steeling himself, as if preparing to leap into the unknown. I know. I'm not asking you to forget. I just want a chance to show you how much I care. I've learned. I've changed. His eyes burned with conviction. I'm here now. I want to be your partner, not just a shadow in the background. I won't let you down again. The flicker of hope in Sarah's heart ignited into a small flame. Could she really let herself believe in his transformed intentions? Would it be foolish to even entertain the idea of reaching for those dreams once more? She thought of Lily and all the joy a sibling could bring. But would it be fair to her to try and weave something new from two broken lives? What if it doesn't work out?
Her voice wavered, uncertainty creeping back in. What if this is just a temporary fix, a Band-Aid on old wounds? We won't know if we don't try, Mark said, his voice steady, but the vulnerability was palpable. But I can promise you one thing. I'll fight for this. I'll fight for us. Overwhelmed, Sarah turned her gaze to the window, where the evening sky was painted in strokes of deep indigo. The laughter of children echoed faintly outside, a reminder of the life she once envisioned, a home filled with giggles, chaos, and love. Feeling the weight of all those possibilities, she faced Mark again. If we do this, it needs to be all in. I'm not interested in half measures or starting over again for the sake of it. Mark nodded solemnly, understanding etched on his face. All in, he affirmed quietly. As they stood there, the air thick with unspoken words and possibilities, Sarah's heart thudded against her chest. Was she ready to take that leap again? Just then, Lily raced into the room, her eyes wide, her face flushed with excitement. "Mom! Dad! Can I tell you something?" In that moment, Sarah felt the breath catch in her throat again, knowing well that whatever Lily was about to say might shift everything once more. As the door to the unknown creaked open, she couldn't shake the feeling that life was about to change completely, and she had to decide if she would step through it or retreat back into the safety of her heart. "Sure, sweetheart," Sarah replied, her voice a mix of anticipation and fear. Lily began to speak, and Sarah realized this moment could either lead them toward a bright new beginning or shatter the fragile hope that had just been kindled. The echoes of their choices loomed large, and she wasn't sure what awaited them on the other side. But somehow, she knew they were closer to a decision than ever before. What could Lily possibly reveal that would transform their fragile family dynamic? Lily took a deep breath, her excitement bubbling over. "So, you know how I've been talking about wanting a puppy? Well, I found one. At school today, we had this pet fair, and there was this little golden retriever. He was so cute. I think we should adopt him." Sarah felt a wave of relief wash over her at the innocence of Lily's request. It was a simple thing, a puppy. Yet here they stood, tangled in complexities, as if Lily's joyful proclamation shattered the weight of their intimate conversations. "I don't know, sweetheart. A puppy is a big responsibility," Sarah said, hoping to temper Lily's enthusiasm. "But Mom," Lily countered, her voice infused with a child's conviction, "a puppy would bring us all together. Just think about it. We could train him, play with him, and take care of him as a family. It would be perfect." Mark's expression shifted, a smile creeping onto his face as he looked at their daughter. "She's got a point, Sarah. A puppy could be a wonderful addition to our family." Sarah felt torn.
Could a puppy really be what they needed right now? A new life to nurture, to love. Could it mend the frayed edges of their family? But her heart also held uncertainties, reminding her it wasn't just a matter of adding a pet. It was about welcoming change in their lives once more. "Lily, do you really think having a puppy would make everything better?" she asked, searching for deeper meaning in her daughter's innocent wish. "Yeah, I mean, think about all the fun we'd have. And it's not just about a dog, Mom. It's about us being together, being happy again." Mark locked eyes with Sarah, and she could see the flicker of agreement in his gaze, a silent plea. "We could start fresh in a small way, right? Something to bond over as we figure everything else out. We would be all in, just like we promised." The thought lingered in the air, tangible yet fragile. Lily's face lit up, a beacon of hope in the swirling storm of Sarah's emotions. But just as clusters of joy began forming in her heart, doubt seeped in. "Marriage isn't just about dogs and playdates," she murmured, her breath catching like she had just leaped into ice-cold water. It's about trust, commitment. Can a puppy really solidify the cracks? Mark moved closer to Sarah, his voice barely above a whisper. But can't it also symbolize the start of something new? A clean slate? As they stood there, the world outside continued. Laughter, shouts, and the familiar sounds of children playing floated in through the window. Their little bubble felt both safe and suffocating. "Can I see him, please?" Lily's voice broke through the haze, pulling both of them back to the moment. Sarah chuckled weakly at her daughter's enthusiasm. Okay, we can look into it, but no promises, all right?" Lily jumped up and down, her joy infectious. "Yes, thank you!" Realizing the joy she had just sparked in her daughter began to chip away at her hesitations, Sarah couldn't help but feel a warmth blossoming, a strange mix of hope and fear intertwined. Would this new beginning be insignificant in the grand scheme of their repairs, or was it the first step into a healing journey? Yet still, beneath all the excitement and love, the voice of doubt lingered. "What if this is just a distraction, Lily?" she asked, her brow knit with concern. Lily's smile faltered for a moment. Then she looked up, her eyes wide and innocent. "It doesn't have to be, Mom. You just have to believe it could be a start." And at that moment, while contemplating the ripple effect such a simple choice could have, Sarah felt a flicker of determination rise within her. Squeezing Mark's hand gently, she took a breath, ready to dive into whatever the future held. But what if adopting a puppy turned out to be the easy part? What if it was the catalyst for both their hidden pains to resurface, forcing them to confront what they were truly afraid of?
The next day, marked with the promise of change, found Sarah standing at the threshold of their home. The sun bathed everything in a soft golden glow, but uncertainty tinged her heart. Today would be the day they visited the shelter. Lily bounced with excitement, her small hand gripping Sarah's tightly. "Mom, today's the day. Can we go see him right now?" Her enthusiasm was a whirlwind, carrying Sarah's doubts along with it. Mark, who had already slipped into his sneakers, glanced over his shoulder, his smile infectious. "Let's not keep this little guy waiting," he said, his eyes sparkling with a kind of hope that made Sarah's heart flutter, even amidst the haze of worry. Okay, let's go," Sarah finally managed, her resolve hardening. As they drove across town, laughter filled the car, weaving a thread of warmth through the cool air. Yet, as they pulled into the parking lot, a prickling sensation of anxiety gripped her. Could she really handle having a puppy? Could Lily, with her youthful wonder, possibly know the wake of such a decision? With the shelter in view, Sarah caught a glimpse of other families, some with children skipping in delight toward the doors, others with looks of pure love on their faces, cradling small animals. Their emotions were so pure, so straightforward. "Mom, look!" Lily cried, tugging on Sarah's arm, pointing toward a row of pens where puppies tumbled over each other, yapping in anticipation. "I can't wait!" Her face glowed with an innocence Sarah envied. As they entered, the familiar scent of dogs and playful barking enveloped them. Each step felt heavier than the last, the cheerful chaos contrasting sharply with the swirling uncertainty in Sarah's heart. The puppy she had seen in her mind during all those sleepless nights suddenly didn't feel like an answer, but rather a potential burden. "Let's find the little golden retriever," Mark suggested, attempting to pull her from her thoughts. As if giving her permission, he held her gaze. His patience was a balm, reassuring. She nodded, needing his strength to carry her through the day. Lily practically sprinted ahead, leading the charge, and soon they were standing in front of a pen filled with rambunctious puppies. There he was, a small ball of golden fuzz, tumbling over his siblings, tail wagging like a frag in the breeze. "Isn't he adorable?" Lily squealed, her voice rising with delight. As the puppy noticed them, he leapt up, pressing his nose against the gate, seeking contact, connection. Sarah's heart melted just a little. But then the doubt came crashing back again. "What if we're not ready for this?" she whispered to Mark, who stood close. "We'll never be ready if we keep waiting," he replied softly. "What matters is that we want to be. We can learn together. It will be messy, sure, but that's what life is." Lily turned around, her eyes wide and pleading. "Please, Mom, can we take him home?" The intensity of the moment hit Sarah square in the chest. What if this did bring them together? What if instead of a distraction, it was exactly what they needed to learn how to love again? "I guess we should at least meet him, right?" Sarah said, taking a breath. "Let's see how he is outside of this pen." Mark's hand found hers again and squeezed it tightly as they leaned in, ready to discover what the next chapter of their lives would hold. But just as Sarah reached for the latch, a shadow of hesitation loomed. Would this puppy unleash buried pain, or lead them to healing? Okay, little guy, let's find out. As the gate opened and the little retriever bounded into their lives, Sarah felt the air shift. Could this be the moment they started to claw back the happiness they had lost? And in that moment, somewhere in the distance, echoes of laughter faded into anxious memories. What was truly waiting just beyond that threshold? The golden puppy rushed out of the pen, his tiny legs propelling him forward with glee. He skidded to a stop, tail wagging furiously as he stared up at Sarah and her family, his bright eyes sparkling with unrestrained joy. It was hard not to smile, even amidst the torrent of worry that swirled inside her. "Look at him, Mom!" Lily exclaimed, crouching down, arms wide open. The puppy bounded towards her, sloshing on the floor with an excited bark. The moment he reached her, he jumped, letting out a series of happy yips, tail like a pendulum. Sarah felt warmth rise in her chest as Lily giggled, the sound lightening the air around them. It flooded the room, mingling with the barks and whines of other puppies. Mark stood close by, watching with a soft smile that reflected the hope Sarah desperately wanted to feel. As Lily leaned into the puppy, Sarah knelt beside her, a hesitant smile creeping across her face. The fur was soft, warm against her fingers as she stroked its back. "What should we name him?" she asked, voice barely above a whisper. "What about Buddy?" Lily shouted, eyes sparkling as she wrestled the pup into her lap. "No, wait, Sparky!" Mark chuckled. "I think we should take a moment. Let's see how he fits with our family first." His tone was light, but Sarah noticed the underlying seriousness. She understood. It was a moment of trial and decision, all wrapped in a bundle of fur. With each playful leap and joyful bark from the puppy, Sarah felt her defenses slowly lower. There was something about this creature, this small bundle of life, that reminded her of the love they once shared, the laughter that had wreathed itself in their lives like a cherished song. Yet the moment was bittersweet. Memories of laughter with Jack flickered in and out of her mind, shadows of what used to be. The tension in her heart tightened, and she reminded herself to breathe as she watched Lily and the puppy tumble together on the floor, Lily's giggles mixing with the small dog's playful growls. "Hey, Sarah," Mark's voice pulled her back, gentle and steady.
"What's going through your mind?" She took a deep breath. I want this to be good. It can be, if we let it." He squeezed her hands, and for a moment they shared a silent conversation, an understanding that this was as much about them as it was about the puppy. They both needed to open their hearts again. Lily entwined herself with the puppy, who was now nipping playfully at her shoelaces. The sight was pure joy, and for a moment the weight of the past threatened to lift, if only for their daughter's sake. In that light, Sarah made a decision. Let's see how he interacts with other pets. We should learn more about him before rushing in. Lily paused, her brow furrowing. "But I love him already." Sarah smiled softly, torn between protecting her daughter's heart and embracing new experiences. "I know, honey. We can still love him, but we want to be sure. It's a big step." The puppy hopped up again, licking Lily's chin, and they both dissolved into another round of giggles. It pulled at Sarah's heart, and just like that, what had felt like a burden suddenly began to feel like a new opportunity. As Sarah nodded towards Mark, she felt a flicker of hope. Maybe it was the first step toward healing, for all of them. But as they leaned into this new adventure, a nagging feeling lingered in the back of her mind. Would this furry friend help them find their way, or were they opening a door to brand new challenges? "Okay, little guy, let's figure this out together," she whispered, as the puppy rolled over, exposing his belly for a rub. And just then, amidst playful chaos, the shelter's door swung open, inviting another family inside, one that would change everything. What would they bring with them? The bell above the shelter door jingled, pulling Sarah's focus away from the puppy rolling at Lily's feet. A family entered, their excited chatter blending in with the joyful barks that filled the room. They were all smiles, 2 children bouncing at the front, a lanky teenager trailing behind them. The mother spoke animatedly, her eyes scanning the room, shining with eagerness. "Look, Mom, can we get one?" the younger boy pleaded, his eyes wide as he spotted the playful pups. The sobering realization gripped Sarah's heart. Another family looking for a companion, while she had only just begun to contemplate the depths of their own choices. Lily's laughter rang out, a bright sound against the backdrop of uncertainty. The golden puppy had decided that tugging at her shoelaces was still the most entertaining game in the world. Watching them brought Sarah warmth, but also shadowed her heart with a pang of anxiety. Was this the right step? Did a puppy really belong in their lives after such loss? Mark stood close by, his hands jammed in his pockets. He seemed captivated by the scene, but his brow was slightly furrowing, mirroring Sarah's silent concerns. Just as she was about to voice them, the new family approached, their excitement palpable.
"Excuse me," the mother said with a friendly wave. "We're here to adopt. These little guys are adorable." The proud puppy lifted his head, eyes bright and shiny, as if sensing the collective attention. Sarah smiled politely, but felt like she was drowning in a flood of emotions. Hope mingled with apprehension, and the frantic beat of her heart echoed louder in her ears. "Would you like to join us?" the mother asked, nodding to the group around them. Sarah hesitated, torn between wanting to engage and retreating to her own bubble. Mark leaned over, whispering, "Maybe they have some insights we could use." Lily bounced on her knees, ever the social butterfly, and chirped, "Yes, I want to play with all the puppies." The warmth in Sarah's chest flickered again. Life had always revolved around community and connections, and here was an invitation to embrace just that. "Sure, why not?" Sarah replied, mustering a smile. "I'm Sarah, and this is my daughter Lily." "Hi, I'm Jenna," the mother introduced herself, shaking Sarah's hand warmly. "This is my husband Tom and our kids Max and Ava." The boy gave a quick wave, while the girl perked up, her gaze drawn to the wriggling puppy. They exchanged quick stories, laughter peppering their conversation as they bid on which puppy was the most entertaining. It felt light, almost surreal. There was an allure to forgetting the world outside for just a moment, yet the anxiety lingered, coiling like smoke in the back of her mind. "Which ones are you looking at?" Jenna inquired, gesturing towards the frolicking pups. Sarah felt a sudden surge of protectiveness over the golden puppy, as if he was already part of their story. Tugging at her heart, she sighed. "We aren't sure yet. It's a big decision, you know?" As the hours trickled on, each family member took turns interacting with the puppies. Max shyly approached the golden puppy, who immediately mirrored his excitement, barking and bounding around him. Ava burst into giggles, and for a moment all apprehensions melted away. Sarah caught a glimpse of pure joy reflected on Lily's face, and it was a spark she dared to hold on to. But before they could truly savor the moment, a commotion erupted at the back of the shelter, a sharp bark followed by worried voices. Sarah turned just in time to see a frantic young woman struggling to gather a group of loose puppies darting out of their pen, chaos erupting as they scattered. "Mom, help!" cried the girl in distress, and in an instant Sarah's heart raced. How would they handle this? It seemed a storm was brewing beyond the shelter's cheerful colors, and what would it mean for their fragile connection, just beginning to take form? As she rushed over, a sudden thought struck her. Had they truly opened a door of possibility, or were they dancing on the brink of upheaval? The chaos in the shelter intensified, as puppies zipped across the floor like little torpedoes, their appetites for adventure unmatched.
Sarah felt an instinct kick in. Anxiety momentarily flickered, replaced by a need to help. "Lily, stay with Max and Ava," she called over her shoulder. Then she dashed toward the frantic woman, who was, by the looks of it, overwhelmed and on the verge of tears. "Do you need help?" Sarah asked, kneeling beside her. The woman barely looked up, consumed by the task at hand, her hair a wild halo of panic. "Yes, they just got out. They never do this," she stammered, her voice quaking as she tried to wrangle a particularly feisty beagle pup, which had other plans and was bouncing joyously away. "Let's corner them. We can do this together." As they teamed up, Sarah grabbed the nearest pup, a brown and white bundle of energy. Just as she secured it in her arms, another one barreled past her. In a split second, she made a lunge for it, a wild tumble that sent them both to the floor laughing, the beagle now safely in her grasp. "See, it's like a game," she said, feeling the tension break slightly as the woman finally cracked a smile. "We can do this." Meanwhile, Mark, watching from a distance, shared a worried glance with Lily, who was silhouetted next to Max and Ava. He leaned down and spoke softly to them. "Think we should help them?" "Yes," Lily chimed in, her eyes reflecting the excitement of the moment. She was ready to jump into the fray, her heart racing at the thrill of everything unfolding. "All right then," Mark said, determination coloring his voice as he joined the commotion. Together they formed a loose circle, facilitating the capturing of the wild pups, each one secured with airy laughter and playful chaos. Each laughter echo felt like a soft comfort, knitting together the frayed edges of their own emotions. As the last puppy was caught, the shelter fell into a gentle stillness, puppies now safely back in their pen, wiggling and barking happily. The tension in the air melted away, replaced by a shared sense of accomplishment. "Thank you. I'm Emma, by the way," the young woman said, breathless but smiling, her earlier tension dissipating with each word. "Sarah, just glad we could help," Sarah replied, her heart warming to the spontaneous connection. She glanced at Mark and Lily, all of them sharing unspoken relief and joy in the little victory they shared. "Do you all want to meet some puppies?" Emma invited, and her face lit up with embarrassment at not having suggested it before. "It's on me, of course." Max and Ava squealed, eyes wide, darting toward the pen like little arrows aimed at joy. Lily bounced on her toes, her previous inhibitions forgotten. Sarah's breath hitched, caught between delight and uncertainty as she dared to dream. Moments later, they were all huddled near the puppy pen. The little ones reached out with tentative fingers.
and Sarah's heart warmed as she watched Lily select the golden puppy instinctively, the same one who had captured her heart. It felt like fate wrapped in puppy curls.
But in the corner of the room, Sarah spotted Jenna, her expression clouded with a hint of concern, as if the whirlwind earlier hadn't quite blown away her worries. Just then, a soft whine broke from the golden puppy in Lily's arms, and it echoed like a signal, an urgent plea that reminded Sarah their journey was only beginning. Was this truly the path forward? The happiness felt so tender, so new, but weighted beneath was the fear of losing it all again. What happens now? Sarah wondered silently, her heart beating heavily. A choice lay ahead, and for the first time she felt its gravity more than ever. Would they go home with a puppy, or were they still unable to fully embrace this next chapter? The thought hung in the air, waiting to spark real conversations, real decisions. As laughter filled the room, soft puppy barks puncturing the air, Sarah watched Lily interact with the golden puppy, two innocent beings, both yearning for connection. Sarah felt a tingle of happiness run through her, but an undercurrent of fear twisted tightly in her stomach. Could they really take on such responsibility? Lily lifted the puppy high, gazing into its wide brown eyes. "Can we keep him, Mom, please?" Her voice was full of hope, pure and heart-tugging. Sarah's mind raced, battling between the excitement that bubbled in Lily's voice and the caution whispering through her heart. Just weeks ago, she couldn't picture bringing another living being into their home. The memory of the heartbreak that had clouded their lives for months felt fresh, lurking like a shadow on a sunny day. Emma, sensing the whirlwind of emotions surrounding the group, stepped closer. "I completely understand how you feel. Puppies are a lot of work, but they also bring joy like you wouldn't believe. I've seen families come alive with a pup in the house." Her enthusiasm was infectious, radiating warmth. "But," Sarah started, her voice betraying her reservations, What if it's too much? What if we can't give it the love, the time it deserves?" Mark gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "We'll figure it out together. You, me, Lily, we're a family. We can bring joy back into our lives, one puppy at a time." His eyes held a certainty that took Sarah's breath away. It felt so real in that moment, that possibility of healing, of creating new memories. Max, hugging his own puppy as if the world depended on it, piped up, "He's perfect, Mom. We can take turns taking care of him. I can be the best helper." Each little plea put Sarah deeper in thought. Her heart squeezed, torn between the desire for joy and the fear of more pain. What if it went wrong? What if they got attached and lost it again? The memory of loss was a ghost lingering in the corners of her mind. But when she glanced at Lily, her daughter's eyes shining like stars, everything started to shift. If they didn't embrace risk, how would they ever find happiness again?
"Maybe we could just foster him for a little bit," Sarah proposed, her voice steadying as she spoke, "just to see how it feels. No commitments." Emma beamed, excitement sparking anew. "That way you can test the waters, and when you're ready, you can decide what's best for you all." Lily bounced on her toes, squealing with glee. "Yes, please, Mommy!" Sarah smiled, the tension in her shoulders beginning to melt away. Just then, a soft touch on her arm drew her attention back to Jenna, who had approached quietly, her expression still concerned. "Sarah, I know it's scary to dive into something new. Just remember, following your heart is what leads to real change." The silence hung between them, heavy with unspoken understanding. Sarah nodded slowly, recognizing the moment for what it was, an invitation to embrace life again. Mark shifted next to her, squeezing her hand, grounding her in the present. Taking a deep breath, Sarah willed herself forward into the unknown. "All right, let's do it. Let's see where this takes us." Lily erupted into giggles. The room felt fuller, alive, as happiness began to expand in the corners, filling the void. Yet, even as she indulged in the warmth of that moment, a question lingered ominously at the back of her mind. What if this was just the beginning of new struggles? As they scurried off to finalize the adoption, Sarah couldn't shake the unsettling feeling. The more profound question loomed, crashing against her heart. Would the love of a puppy truly be enough to pull them through their past, or would it lead them to deeper waters, testing their bond in ways they hadn't imagined? And as she stepped towards that uncertain future, with all smiles around her, she knew one thing was sure. The journey ahead would unveil answers she never expected. The next day, the sun filtered through the kitchen window, casting a golden glow over everything. Sarah busied herself preparing breakfast, but her mind kept wandering. A soft whine broke her concentration. She looked down to find the little golden puppy sprawled at her feet, his big brown eyes focused intently on her. "All right, little one," Sarah murmured, bending down to scratch behind his ears. "It's your big morning, too." His tail wagged vigorously. Just like that, she felt a flicker of excitement overcame her nagging fears.
Lily bounced into the room, still in her pajamas, her face alight with wonder. "Is he awake?" she asked, bouncing on her toes, eyes darting between the puppy and Sarah. "Very awake," Sarah replied, smiling. Mornings like this had faded after their last loss, dimmed by grief and uncertainty. Yet here she was, surrounded by laughter, warmth, and a new little life that needed them. Mark entered next, rubbing his eyes. "What's all this commotion?" he approached, chuckling softly when he saw Lily dancing around the puppy. "Looks like someone's already claimed the title of best friend. Can we take him to the park, Dad, please?"
Lily's enthusiasm radiated, filling the small kitchen with hope bubbling like a freshly brewed pot of coffee. Mark exchanged a glance with Sarah, a silent agreement passing between them. Why not? It'll be our first family outing with him. The thought of stepping outside, into the sprawling green of the park, brought a rush of joy mixed with anxiety. They had avoided crowds since their loss, shrinking into their private world. But maybe they needed this. Maybe they needed to reclaim not just their home, but their lives. As they finished breakfast, the three of them hustled around, preparing leashes, treats, and a flimsy water bowl for when the puppy got thirsty. All the while, Sarah couldn't shake a weight pressing against her chest. Something within her screamed to hold back, to remain cocooned in the safety of solitude. But then she heard Lily's laughter, rich and full, blending perfectly with the happy barks of the puppy. That laughter felt like a lifeline pulling her towards the light again. Once at the park, the moment they stepped onto the sun-drenched grass, energy buzzed in the air. Lily dashed off, her little feet pounding the ground, with the pup racing beside her, his tongue lolling out happily. Sarah and Mark shared a glance filled with the warmth of a shared dream, their smiles expansive. As they watched, Sarah felt the weight on her heart gradually lifting. The laughter, the giggles, and the carefree antics of their puppy felt like magic slowly stitching their family back together. But as she leaned against a tree, taking in the scene of contentment, a faint whisper of doubt crept in again. What if this happiness was fleeting? What if the shadow of loss still lingered too close? Suddenly, a shout broke through the tranquility. "Look out!" A kid on a bike sped past, startling the puppy, making him yelp and bolt. In a heartbeat, he tore away, chasing after the cyclist. "Puppy!" Lily screamed, chasing after him, her tiny figure disappearing among the trees. "Lily, wait!" Mark called, taking off after them. Panic rose in Sarah's chest. She raced towards the sound, her heart thunderous in her ears. What had she gotten them into? This was all so new, and already the chaos was overwhelming. As the scene unfolded, Sarah's breath quickened. She couldn't help but feel that even amid the joy, shadows still stalked them. Would this unexpected journey bring them grand love, or would they face trials and heartache anew? And as the frantic search began, one question held dominion in her mind. Would they be able to navigate this unexpected twist, or was it a sign that the past still had its hold on them? As Sarah raced through the park, weaving past laughing children in twinkling sunlight, her heart pounded with desperation. Every step echoed with the weight of her fears. The playful joy they had just felt dangerously close to unraveling in an instant. "Lily!"
She called, searching frantically, but the sound of the crowd drowned out her voice. Just ahead, she caught a glimpse of Lily's small silhouette, dashing between trees, her hair bouncing with every determined step. "Stay close!" Sarah shouted, her own voice shaking. But in the distance, she saw the golden puppy, now just a flash of fur darting further away, chasing after the cyclist. Who knew how far he would run? Panic surged through Sarah. How could they have welcomed this chaos back into their lives? Mark, always the calm presence, appeared beside her, eyes darting around the park. "I've got Lily," he yelled, already sprinting to catch up with their daughter. "You go after the puppy." Nodding, Sarah pushed forward, determination kicking in. She couldn't lose him, not now. "Buddy, come back," she cried, her heart breaking as she called for the small creature who had burst into their lives like a ray of hope. But in that moment, all she could hear was the sound of her own pounding heartbeat, mixed with the laughter of the playful park. The chase seemed endless, but it felt like a lifetime, the joy they had taken a moment before replaced by fear and doubt. Had they made a mistake? Just then she saw him. Buddy had stopped, snuffling curiously at a patch of daisies, his tail a blur. Relief flooded over her in waves. "Good boy, come here!" To her surprise, he spun around in her direction, excitedly bounding back toward her with reckless glee. Sarah dropped to her knees, arms wide, and Buddy leapt into her embrace, using all his tiny strength to shower her with slobbery kisses. Laughter burst from her lips, melding with the tension that began to dissolve. "Got him!" Mark shouted triumphantly as he emerged, Lily at his side, both panting and laughing. "We should have planned for this." Lily's eyes lit up, pure joy shining.
He's so fast. Did you see? He almost caught that bike. Sarah smiled softly at the innocent excitement radiating from her daughter. But then a twinge of worry edged back in. But what if he runs away again? We have to be careful. Mark placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder, drawing her attention back to him. We will. His voice was steady, filled with confidence. Every step we take, we're learning and growing together. It's okay to be scared, Sarah. What matters is that we're doing this as a family. Yeah, Mom, but he wouldn't leave us, Lily chimed in, wrapping her arms around the puppy, her face glowing with love and innocence. He wants to be with us. A profound weight lifted from Sarah's heart as she watched them. The unconditional love of a child, the partnership of two grown-ups trying to piece together what seemed broken. It felt so right, so hopeful. Okay, she agreed, a smile stretching across her face. We'll take it one day at a time. Let's give this little champ a chance. In that moment, not just for Buddy, but for their family, Sarah felt an awakening.
The past, with all its chaos and heartache, would not dictate their future. They were capable of forging something beautiful out of the messiness of life. They would stumble and learn together, but they would also love fiercely. Yes, let's take him home, Lily cheered, and Sarah's heart swelled with a tenderness she had thought lost. As they headed back towards their car, Buddy trotted beside Lily, his tiny paws clacking happily against the pavement. In the warmth of the sunlight, surrounded by laughter and sweet chaos, Sarah felt a deep, resonating joy break free within her. It was a realization, a moment of hope, framed against the laughter of children and the shiny promise of a new beginning. Maybe all the hurt would not disappear overnight, but it was the small moments, the joy-filled days ahead, that would lovingly weave a new tapestry of memories. Let's go home, she said, her voice steady, looking at Mark, who nodded in agreement. Hand in hand, they walked toward their car, not just as a couple, but as a family taking on the future together. This was their moment, and they would cherish every piece of it. As they drove away, Sarah couldn't help but feel lighter, more open to the possibilities that lay ahead. After months of longing and uncertainty, a fragile sense of peace settled in. They were starting anew, surrounded by all the glimmers of hope, united by their beautiful golden retriever, a furry thread stitching their hearts back together. And she knew this is what love truly felt like, not just surviving, but thriving, with laughter echoing in their lives once more. Now, if you felt moved by this story, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive tales. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment below your thoughts on this incredible transformation. And don't wait not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who truly need to see this heartwarming story. Let's spread the change.